Hey everybody, today is the day, it's kind of historic, that we're going to retire our GoPro Hero as my primary video camera, and we're going to replace it with the new Hero 3. So this video will not be about reviewing the Hero 3 because there's a lot going on in the world of GoPro right now, having a lot of issues with their first Hero 3s that have come out. But in fact, this video is going to be how I'm going to mount this to the helmet, because I'm not going to be with a inside the face shield mount like I did with the Hero. It's going to be an external mount, which is kind of presenting a couple little problems for me. But we're going to run through that. Just so you know, if you're just tuning in, I've been really happy with this setup, actually. If you want to know how I did it, there's a video. I'll put a link to it up in the corner here. Maybe I'll put it right here. Maybe I'll put a little box right about here. Did I draw a nice square? Yeah, I'll put a box right here. You can click on that, and you can see how I went about doing it. I've kind of modified it a bit. Since that video, I added a screw that goes up through the vent in the helmet and into the actual carrier, so that it won't fall out, which it did on 2 occasions because my tape had worn down and didn't have a good friction fit. So it does not fall out anymore. And as well, as I went to an elastic band holding my plate here on top, just because it's a little bit easier to deal with than the zip strips. But great, it's been a great setup for me, and it probably will not be the last time I ever use this. I may use the Hero inside my helmet on certain videos, but for the most part the Hero 3 is going to be mounted on the external of the helmet. So let's take a look at how we're going to go about that. Just like everything else, everyone has their own sort of preferences when it comes to mounting cameras. Some guys like them on the side of the helmet, some guys like them on the top of the helmet, some guys like them inside the helmet. I prefer mine to be centered on the helmet, and that's what we're going to look at today, is mounting this particular camera to the front of my helmet. And I'm basically having to go with a chin mount. The problem I have with mounting my camera on the front is that my helmet is not friendly for chin mounts, because it's, well, it is what it is. And so nothing I have is going to be able to just sit on there and stick well enough to hang a camera off of. So I've had to come up with a little bit of a mod. And this mod is a mod, in fact, of Everride's configuration that he worked on not too long ago before he went to Moab. And maybe I'll put a link to his video somewhere, maybe around here, maybe a little bit bigger. You can click on that. You can see what Tyler did on his. And I took his basic idea and I modified it to work for my helmet. And that's what we're going to look at right now. And this is it right here. It's basically a little piece of aluminum, and I have a bolt that runs through the backside of that aluminum, and it's countersunk. And then it comes through, and I've got this nut on here as a locker, basically. And I've got some photos I'll intermix here. In the actual adhesive of the GoPro mount, I had to cut a little hole to allow a little bit more room for that head, because it kind of sticks up a little bit. I think I actually filed that down slightly just to take some of the profile off. But this worked out pretty good. Now the problem that we have here is it's still not a flat surface, and so when you put this in the hole that I've sort of perhaps dremeled a little bit, when it goes in, it has no way of registering a good position. It kind of wants to do this. So what I did was I marked out these little fangs here, whatever they are, and I made some little rebates in the aluminum, so that when this goes in, it basically catches on those, and then it stops it from wanting to twist sideways while you're bumping around. So that worked out pretty good. So I'll tell you what, I'll tighten this thing up and then we'll see it in place. So you can see the bolt comes through the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece has a bit of a V to it, so the washers are there to kind of span that little valley and give it a little bit more bite. And that mouthpiece is actually not actual part of the helmet. It's a piece that snaps into the helmet after its construction. So in the event, an unlikely event of a water landing, please in the event of a major bad crash, there's nothing that's going to really prevent that part from pulling out. I'm talking like a good crash, not just wiping out. But if that was, my camera was to catch on something like a fence post or a little tree or something, instead of ripping my noggin off, that little piece is going to come out. So I shouldn't have any flack from the local constables in that regard. I'm hoping. So that's the install at the back. Let's take a look at the front. So as you can see, it's not that bad of a look. You've still got ventilation holes open, and it fits nice and snug with those two little fangs as they key into those little dimples that I've put in the aluminium. I just like to say aluminium. Into the aluminum. Aluminum. Bum, bum, ba-da-dum. Aluminum. Flashback. Stupid. Take 3. I think overall it fits pretty good. Camera just comes along, snaps in, of course. Snaps in. And then I can adjust it to wherever I'm wanting it to be. So it does obviously stick out, and it's not as covert as the old Hero setup inside, which is one thing I might be a little bit concerned about. And it does add a little bit of weight to the front of my helmet. I do feel a little bit of downward pressure, downward inclination, but overall I think it works out pretty decently. Well, let's go on to sound now, because the camera is now out of my helmet, and that was one of the nice things about having the Hero mounted inside. I didn't have to have a mic hooked up. It was just my voice inside the helmet, which wasn't bad sound. In fact, it was pretty good, but now that it's mounted outside, I've got to have some way of getting the sound inside. So to start off, I had to cannibalize my brand new housing to make way for this. Now, if anyone from GoPro was watching this, I don't know which one of you came up with this idea to go with this kind of little HDMI sort of input, or whatever that is, USB, and then go to a 3.5. Like, why didn't you just leave it as a 3.5? I don't know. Sometimes when you wear a suit, you make decisions perhaps that aren't the best interest of your customers, because I don't see why we need this. Why? Maybe it's just because this allows us a little bit more flexibility with the capabilities of the camera. Perhaps that's what you're thinking. But I'd rather not have this little dingly-doo hanging out of my camera. Regardless, I have no control over that, and I doubt people from GoPro watch this video anyways. So I'm just talking to the converter. Anyways, so in goes our little converter here. The hard thing about doing this is I can't actually stick my head in. There we go. So it's in nice and snug. And now I'm going to run my 3.5. Bing! Right there. And this goes into my helmet. It runs along the underside of my helmet all the way to the back. And at the back, I have the on-off switch, which is the powered part of the mic. And then the actual microphone comes around the other side, and I'll show you what it looks like inside the helmet. The Audio Technica 3550 is it's a pretty decent little microphone. It's affordable, that's for sure. The first place I went to talking about lav mics, and they were like, oh yeah, they start about $200. I'm like, yeah, it's just not going to happen. But I think I paid like 30-something bucks for this, and I'm sure you can probably get them cheaper. The cover is made up of just fake fur that my wife had kicking around in her craft box, and it's got a fairly decent backing to it. The first one that I made had like a thinner backing, so I thought, oh, okay, that'd be better for sound transmission. But in fact, it turned out to be worse. I had lots of pop, pops as I talked, because my mouth is only, geez, 3/4 of an inch away from the microphone when the helmet's on. So you get a lot of that sort of, you know, blasts of breath on the, oop, something just fell down, knife. And so this seems to be working out all right, and this is going to go in the mouthpiece, so I'll install that and show you how that works. And there you have it. It is installed, and I'm using this scrubby material that came with the helmet. It's actually shaped in a V shape, like an arrow basically, and I split it down the middle and opened it up. I put the microphone between it and then kind of closed it in, and it makes a nice snug fit. And the microphone itself inside, the fur is actually not sitting on top of the microphone. It's actually probably separated by a good 1/4 inch. So there's a little bit of space around the microphone and the fur, and then it's clamped together. Well, that's the finished product, everyone, and I will be using this setup for pretty much all of my motovlogs in the future. There may be situations where I'll have to mount the GoPro inside my helmet for a couple projects that I have in mind, which you will understand when you see it. But other than that, this should be all right. It should be good. It's going to be a little bit different perspective for all of us to kind of get used to, and I've got it cranked back as far as I can, and trying to give you a little bit more horizon in the picture. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and we'll see how this works out. You'll let me know if you like it, if you don't like it, and maybe we can make some improvements on it. But that is all, and cut. But we'll hit the highway up here for a short little splurt, and we'll see how that does. I think I have to speak up a little bit on the highway, but just general cruising, not a problem. Right now I'm doing 87 kilometers, and I am speaking as normally as I would anywhere else. And in my helmet I can hear wind noise like crazy, but it'll be interesting to see how this new dead mouse, dead cat, dead rat, whatever it's called, will work. And at this point right here with the normal camera I'd be talking up like this. Hey guys, how's it going? But this bike should be all right. I should be able to handle it. Second gear, high-end second gear. How is that going to register? Third gear, coming up mid-third, upper third, fourth gear. Okay, we're doing 64K, coming up on 70K. Audio on the Hero 3 is right here. Wondering how that sounds. Audio on the original Hero is right here. How does that sound? Just talking normally, not really trying to hurt myself. Hoping that it turns out as good as I think it will. 89K, sixth gear, sorry. And gearing down, fifth, fourth, into the corner, tapping the brakes, finding third, easing up on the throttle, stopping. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for riding, thanks for subscribing, thanks for just, well, being you. Because it really makes my life that much fuller. Have a good one, guys.